So this is part 3 on how not to start your novel. I'm Karen Beery with Right Now Editing, where we turn good manuscripts into great books.
And I'm Peg Thomas, multi-award winning author and editor. And we are 2 editors for 5 minutes.
So this is the last video that we're going to commit to this, how not to start your novel. So last time I talked about too much reflection, too much internal reflection, just bogs down the story, jump into the action and keep it moving. However, there is the flip side to that coin that I see all the time, which is jumping right into the action without taking any time to introduce anything to the story. If the door flies open and some woman comes storming into the restaurant and says, "You're my baby's daddy, I need you to step up to the plate." Whoa, hold, like, who is this woman? Who is this man? Who am I rooting for? It's too much too soon. You need to take time to establish normal. Or even if you look at just general story structure, there's Act 1. Act 1 is there for the reason. It's called the introduction. You need to introduce your readers to the characters, to the setting, to what the original starting plot point is going to be. A lot of times authors are cutting that out completely, and I would say they're actually starting at what we would consider the second act. They're jumping right into this transitional element that thrusts the reader into the story, but we don't know anything about anybody yet. So you see this a lot. We were just talking about this in suspense, romantic suspense. It can work. I'm still not a huge fan of it. I think there's a different way that you can do this. But it's one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of that genre. I don't want to be confused for 5 chapters. So make sure you take that time with your Act 1. Find out what needs to be in Act 1 and put it in there. Now, that doesn't mean your Act 1 has to be 25% of your book. It can be 1 chapter. But you need to do something to ground your reader in the story before the guns start firing and the buildings start falling down. Otherwise, they're just going to be confused.
And the flip side of that is you can go too slow. And I've been reading some manuscripts lately where authors are starting with their characters waking up. And waking up is just not very interesting. I don't care how many ways you think of to wake up. It's just not very interesting. We all do it every morning. Well, until we don't anymore. And it's there's no really good way to write that to make it interesting. And so many authors I see who start a book that way may go on and start 10, 15 chapters or scenes throughout the book with their characters waking up. If you've noticed that in your novels, then you need to, that's got to change. Because it's just not very interesting.
Because you do want to start with some action. It doesn't mean cut out the first act, but it does mean action. Technically, waking up is an action, but better might be having the lawyer walk into his office and realizing that the air conditioner is broken and it's 120 degrees in there and he's got an important client coming. So we don't need to see everything leading up to that. Sure. We know he woke up that morning because he's walking.
Yep.
And he's dressed.
And of course, you can always find exceptions. You can find the character that's waking up from a coma. Totally different type of thing. But your character is just waking up every day, starting a scene or a chapter, especially starting the beginning of a book, just isn't interesting enough to snag the reader.
So avoid the lack of action with the wake up scene. And avoid jumping into the heart of the story without that Act 1 intro. One is going to bore your reader. One is going to confuse your reader. Neither one are very enjoyable. You want to hook your reader from the first page, hopefully the first sentence if you can, and bring them in with you. You don't want them to have to skim pages to try to figure out what's going on.
And you want your character to bond with your reader, or your reader to bond with your character. You want to create that relationship between them. That's what makes writing sing. That's what makes readers not able to put the book down. That's what makes you a best-selling author.
And that doesn't happen when you're waking up or when you're jumping into the action.
Got to get them in the right order.
Yep. So that's it. 5 minutes. I think we're pretty close.
Oh, I was supposed to be timing it again.
One of these days we'll have one and she'll actually have the timer going.
I got the timer going. I just forget to look at it. So.
Until then, I'm Karen Beery.
And I'm Peg Thomas.
We'll see you later.
Bye.